Welcome to the American Med Spa Association podcast, Medical Spa Insider. This week, AmSpa founder Alex Thiersch is speaking with Dr. Rahi Sarbaziha from the Aesthetic Room Integrative Aesthetics and one of AmSpa's Distinguished Women in Medical Aesthetics 2023.
Refresh your body, mind, and career at the Women in Aesthetic Leadership Conference being held October 3rd through 5th at California's beautiful Terranea Resort. WALK is more than just another convention. It's an immersive retreat that combines education and networking with rejuvenation. For women aesthetic professionals who dedicated their time to the health and happiness of others, this is an opportunity to get away and focus on your own wellness. Reconnect to your passions and return with a bold new inspiration for your business. WALK celebrates the med spa industry's opportunities for female empowerment and entrepreneurship, including the ceremony for the 2025 Distinguished Women Awards. Find out more at experiencewalk.com. That's experiencewalk.com. And as a Medical Spa Insider listener, you can receive 10% off your registration if you use the promo code WALK10. That's WALC10.
Promo code valid for inclusive registration until September 11, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or standard registration until October 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Promo code only applies to the primary registrant and cannot be combined with any additional offers.
All right, everybody, welcome to the podcast. This is Alex Thiersch, and I am here with the lovely and talented Dr. Rahi Sarbaziha. Did I get that right? Mostly?
Yes.
Okay,
Mostly.
good. Thank you. Dr. Rahi Sarbaziha out of Beverly Hills, who is, I just realized, is in the same building as my wife's cosmetic dentist, which is interesting because I know exactly where it is. It's an incredible building. And Doctor, I appreciate you joining us. We are very, very excited to have you. We hope to see you at the Women's in Aesthetic Leadership Conference out in LA, pending a potential conflict, which we're trying to figure out. But welcome to the program. I appreciate you joining us. To get started, if you wouldn't mind just giving just a quick little brief background of who you are, what you do, where you're from, and kind of what your practice is like.
Well, thank you for having me. So I was raised in Canada. I'm originally actually from Iran, and I've been in the United States basically from all of my medical career. And I've been in Beverly Hills since 2017. It's pretty much the perfect place to have a medical practice. It's a really great city. It's very well maintained, and it's a really nice place to, have a medical aesthetics medical practice. I started my journey into this realm of integrative aesthetics sort of in residency, where I realized that the traditional system wasn't for me and that I really wanted to be able to help my patients look and feel better. And so that was really how my journey began, was, going through the traditional system, realizing that I wanted more for my patients and I wanted to be able to help them and help myself as well and help my family and friends. And that's what led me to like the integrative medicine world. And I did a fellowship in integrative medicine, and I'd always been good with my hands, good with procedures. And so I combined the world of aesthetics and integrative medicine, and that's where integrative aesthetics started.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
So first, if you would, what does integrative medicine mean, really? Like, I know there's going to be folks who are listening to this, and we have a lot of folks who are, getting ready to start med spas, or who are physicians who are out there, or maybe looking to go to med school or nursing school, whatever it might be. When you say integrative medicine, make sure we're all on the same page as far as what you're talking about.
So integrative medicine is a newer field of medicine. It's not the traditional sort of like, cardiology, dermatology, nephrology. It really is all encompassing. So as a patient, as a provider, you really want to approach the patient as a whole and get a more comprehensive history. You look at lab work very thoroughly. And then if the patient, you feel that they need kind of referrals to types of medicine that aren't necessarily considered medicine in the traditional sense, like chiropractic, acupuncture, Ayurvedic, Chinese medicine, things like that, where the traditional system kind of has ignored for a very long time. You want to be
Hmm.
able to offer that. You're not necessarily a specialist in that. I'm not a specialist in any of that. But if I feel like my patient would benefit from it, I'm more aware. We're trained to be aware of like all the realms of medicine and really approaching the patient as a whole, connecting their mind, body, spirit, and also, taking into account things like nutrition, things that are kind of overlooked in the traditional system. I feel like the traditional system really breaks everything down into compartments.
Right.
Like you're going to go see the nephrologist for your kidney issues, and then you're going to go see the heart doctor, the cardiologist for your heart issues. But whereas the integrative doctor is going to bring everything together and really integrate it all together.
And so, I mean, in a sense, you're kind of bringing it all together, but then you're also staying with the patient throughout the whole cycle, so that you're with them, and they've got at least somebody kind of quarterbacking the entire process, as opposed to having all these different specialists. Is that an accurate way to put it?
Yes, definitely. I would say so. And like the traditional system, what I've been seeing with my patients, because I do a lot of the regenerative wellness, not just the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Um, I've been noticing a lot of patients that go to their primary doctors, a lot of things get overlooked, missed because a lot of times they're rushed, and they're
Hmm.
they're in that system that's like very fast paced, and they only have 15 minutes with a patient. And it just happened this morning before we got on this podcast. I had a patient come in, and a lot of his major lab like results were missed, and that was kind of
Hmm.
shocking to me. And things that the traditional system doesn't kind of overlooks, we look at,
Hmm.
but we also look
Hmm.
at we look at everything. Yes.
Right. And then did you always know though that you wanted to get into aesthetics too?
No, absolutely not. When I initially went to med school, I had, throughout each stage of medical school, it was like, oh, I'm interested in this. I'm interested in this. Um, so no, it was not what I had initially thought I was going to be doing, but
Hmm.
it evolved over time, and I'm very comfortable doing what I'm doing now. I'm very happy with it. I'm happy that
Yeah.
this is how it turned out.
And how did you get exposed to it though? What was like because it's always interesting to me because most, if not really all, um, physicians and NPs and PAs who come into aesthetic medicine come from other verticals, right? They come from integrative medicine, general practice, emergency room, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And they get exposed to it and they start kind of practicing it either through somebody else, they have to get trained, or they get a couple
Mm.
patients on the side and they start, and then they fall in love with it and they're like, wow, this is amazing. What was your kind of first exposure to it? And did you know right away, like, wow, this is something that I can really bring into my practice?
So I think it was a few things. I've always been interested in aesthetics for just my personal self.
Hmm. That
And
helps.
I've always, but it wasn't like I knew necessarily that it was aesthetics. And, aesthetics is definitely a field of medicine that's changing and emerging. I'd say that even a lot of more some more traditional practitioners don't even know about the world of aesthetics, or like know that it really has become a medical specialty in and of itself, where a lot of times people think it's dermatology, but it's not, because dermatology is, you can be a
Hmm.
dermatologist and not practice aesthetics, right? And there are a lot that do
A
that.
lot.
And
Most.
so yeah, exactly. And so aesthetics is becoming a specialty of its own, and it's evolving and changing rapidly. I'd say probably more so than other realms of medicine. So um, I was interested in, like, just like skincare, aesthetics for myself. And then just seeing, in the traditional system, how patients ultimately weren't getting better. They weren't feeling better. It was just kind of like a cyclical pattern of illness and sickness. And
Hmm.
really just through time, and like, knowing that I was interested in like beauty, health, and wellness for myself, and then also seeing how the traditional system wasn't really, you know, helping people live their best lives.
Yeah, yeah. Now, is there what I find interesting about a lot of the areas of medicine, and integrative medicine is not something that I know a ton about, admittedly. Are there a lot of integrative medicine physicians who get into aesthetics, or is that pretty rare, or are you starting to see more of it?
We're definitely seeing more of it. I'm
Hmm.
definitely one of the first, and I'm very proud of that. Uh, when I was in my integrative medicine fellowship, I was probably the only one that really combined the two during my
Hmm.
fellowship. And but you definitely see this term integrative aesthetics popping up everywhere now. Um, but when I was
Yep.
in the fellowship, it was mostly focused on like the medical disease side, even that area. But that's fine. I mean, now it's evolving, and now I think I'm not just integrative aesthetics. Like I really think of myself as like regenerative aesthetics as well, and that's like a newer term too that's
Yep.
coming out. So it's like, like my practice is changing as the times are changing, and that's really important to. I think that's really important for practitioners to like change with the times.
Yeah, for sure. Now, is regenerative aesthetics, how does that relate? Because you're absolutely right. Regenerative aesthetics, we're seeing kind of the blending of regenerative aesthetics, anti-aging, with aesthetics, kind of traditional aesthetics. Is the regenerative part and anti-aging, is that more a part of integration? Did you get a lot of training in that during your integrative medicine training?
No, we did not get a lot of training in that, and but that's what I was trained
Mm-hmm.
as in the integrative fellowship was really to be super open minded and like
Mm-hmm.
explore, and I think that was how I've developed my own practice, and so it kind of like opened my mind to explore different realms of medicine, and as new things come along, just to be more curious and so the regenerative aesthetics or regenerative medicine is a little bit newer because in the sense that um, it's newer because like now we're looking at how can people live better, live longer. And
Mm-hmm.
integrative medicine obviously has that component in it, but like things like we never discussed anything like exosomes,
Mm-hmm.
NAD, like any of the newer treatments. Because even when I was doing the fellowship, these things weren't like more common knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, what's your, where do you see, because this is a question that I get all the time. Um, where do you see this trend of, we've got, regenerative, anti-aging, aesthetics, um, traditional aesthetics, all kind of coming together, but I feel like they're still somewhat separate, and that there's often like medical spas or physicians who start in aesthetics. So they're doing fillers and toxins, whatever it might is. And then they start adding on some of the anti-aging
Yeah.
regenerative stuff. And then you've got a lot of the other folks who come from the regenerative side and then add on aesthetics. And there's this vision that it's all kind of coming together. Where do you see this going? And do you think it's going to be all one big thing, or are we going to still see two separate kind of versions of it, the aesthetic side and the anti-aging side, regenerative side?
Well, I think eventually a lot of clinics are going to incorporate a lot of like regenerative therapies into their aesthetic clinics. Um, and
Sure.
then, and like you said, vice versa. It's going to come together more and more, but there's definitely still going to be separation. Um,
Right.
but I think as we are learning and as there are newer technologies and newer therapies coming out, we're just learning more as, people in the medical field. And I think it really depends on like also like, the practice. There's always going to be clinics that just do, like maybe just Botox and filler. But to be honest with you, a lot of patients want more. And I think a lot of it is patient driven too. So patients are just going to be asking for more. They're going to be demanding, different things and newer therapies. So ultimately, everything is eventually going to change. It might, take some time and different places are going to catch up later than others. And different countries are going to catch up, based on regulations because we know like FDA regulations are pretty stringent, and then there's other countries that are a little bit more lenient. So like maybe those countries are going to be a little bit more advanced, but also maybe a little bit more risk. So
Sure, sure. Now tell me about your practice. It's called the Aesthetic Room, is that right? In Beverly Hills?
yeah, the
And
aesthetic
it
room, integrative aesthetics.
integrates Aesthetic Room, Integrative Aesthetics. Um, my first question is, you said, Beverly Hills is a great place to have an aesthetic practice because obviously there's so many folks there who want it. It's also, I mean, you can't walk half a block without seeing 50 different practices.
True.
What's that like being practicing there with just number one, all the demand, kind of everything going on there, but also all the competition and all the different folks that are doing it?
So I mean, yeah, that can be like a little intimidating, thinking like,
Hmm.
oh my God, there's so many different practices offering aesthetics. But I do a lot of, the integrative aesthetics, the wellness, I do a lot of peptides, I do a lot of weight loss, and it is all connected. And like a lot of my aesthetic treatments are like more on the regenerative side. That's the first thing. And the second thing is it is kind of nice having like other people doing similar things. I don't really necessarily view it as competition. When I was starting out my practice years ago, I can't even believe how quick time flies. There was an older doctor who allowed me to shadow him a few times, and he was very, very helpful. Just even like the few times of shadowing him, but he gave me a piece of advice and that was, like, don't even stress about your competition. Just keep your head forward and do what you do, and you'll be
Hmm.
fine. And that literally stuck with me, and that is how I live my life day to day. I don't stress about what the person next door is doing at all. um so I mean, and the other thing is like, what's the population of LA? I mean, it's, I don't know, I think LA
Hmm.
County 4 million, or the city is 4 million, but the county is much larger. And then the
Yeah.
population of California, and then knowing that people are willing to travel to Beverly Hills because of the name, and just the innovation that we offer here. So I mean, I think being in Beverly Hills is the right place to be.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's such a cool, I gotta say, whenever I'm there, I
Mm.
just kind of walk around with my mouth open, like, wow, look at that. It's really, it's like a fantasy world almost for those people who aren't there very often. Now, do you live
Yeah.
in the area too? I mean, are you there kind of all the time, or are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in Beverly Hills mostly. I live in West Hollywood, which I'm sure you know the area, but if for others who don't, it's like they're touching, they're
Yeah.
attached. So it's just convenient. Although in my perfect world, I would walk to work, because in
Hmm.
LA it's like you got to drive everywhere. Um,
Hmm.
in the perfect world, I would walk to work,
Yeah.
just to like cut back on drive time, because traffic
Of-
here is crazy.
It's
I'm only
all you.
4 miles away, but it can take me up to 30 minutes to get here every day.
I know. It's funny. Like we're in Chicago. I'm in Chicago. We talk about the weather all the time, and all
Yeah.
y'all talk about is traffic. It's like
Yeah. Every
which way
city
to
has its
go.
issues.
Yeah. Um, Now you mentioned with some of the integrative treatments with aesthetics, exosomes, bioregenerative, all these things, we're seeing this kind of more and more. What like are you getting patients that come in and ask about it? Are you finding that folks are more educated on this? And then what's like,
Hmm.
how are you like, what's the how are, for those that aren't like,
Hmm.
what's your kind of, I don't want to say pitch to them, but how are you explaining this? Because it is a little different, but it's also, I think it clearly is where the industry is going, especially when it comes to fillers and things like that. What's your thoughts on that and how you deal with that with your patients? Because it's becoming something that we have to be able to address.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of patients out there that are very educated. I mean,
Hmm.
I get ads for conferences daily that are geared towards the general public for biohacking and regenerative medicine. So it's not just
Hmm.
conferences for medical providers, it's conferences for everybody. And there are people out there that are so in tune with their bodies and know so much about the newer areas of like science and medicine. So it is a lot, very much patient driven, and there's a lot of patients that are asking about things. And you know um I get questions every single day about these things. And if we don't offer it, someone else will, because, or like a lot of, and then you have to also understand there's a huge black market too for these type of therapies. So
Hmm.
that's also a fact. A lot of people, if they can't get it from the provider, they're going to get it on the black market. So um,
Yeah,
we
that's too
definitely have
bad.
to, I know it is too bad, but there's a lot of people out there that know a lot, that aren't doctors, that aren't nurses, because they're just learning it for themselves. And
Hmm.
that's also very interesting. That's also it's very interesting because um, the
Hmm.
traditional system is very much like the doctor tells you what to do. I mean, that's changing rapidly, but
Yeah.
how it was like the doctor told you what to do and you didn't question it. But now, like, patients are very educated.
Yeah. And you've mentioned that um, kind of phrase a couple times, the traditional system, when you talk about going to medical school, and no, I mean, I find it interesting because I think there are a lot of people out there who think the same thing, right? Who are thinking that, the way it's kind of been done it's been very kind of rote, like you follow the path, you memorize things, you go to your specialty, and you don't necessarily look into some of the systems that were that that the body has that maybe we don't pay attention to. And
Mm,
so um I mean, it's interesting to hear you say that. Non-traditional kind of medicine. How is that? Do you get any pushback from kind of other providers on that when you start talking about that?
yeah, totally. I, you know, I've had providers comment on my Instagram, like, what is even integrative aesthetics? Like, I've never heard of that, but like not in a nice way, like in a very condescending way.
Yeah.
Um, or, when I was starting out, I had people kind of like, what, like, kind of confused with what I was trying to do. Um,
Hmm.
but, I mean, that's just how it goes when you're doing something that's new and more, innovative and um, outside of the
Yeah.
box. And I mean, I used to have thinner skin, but now I'm like, I kind of laugh when people get a little critical. I'm like, okay, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like if if aesthetics, and I hear this all the time, is truly going the way of, okay, it's not just how you look, it's got to be how you feel as well. Um, and that's not just, your appearance, it's it's your weight, it's your health, it's
Hmm.
the whole body, it's whole body wellness, it's integrative. Your
Hmm.
specialty, integrative medicine, seems to fit exactly into that. So it's almost like,
Yeah.
well, you know joke's on you, kind of, because like integrative wellness is exactly what you do. So it's in a way, I feel like it
Yes.
fits perfectly.
Yes. Exactly. I agree.
Okay. Last little bit here before we run out of time. Talk about one thing that a lot of folks have in
Hmm.
our association, and a lot of just providers in general. And you're not, you're still, I know you're amazed at how fast the time goes by, which is amazing, but you're still relatively young in your career. You're still coming up. Were you always a born entrepreneur, and what's been your um experience with figuring out the business side of things? Because that's where a lot of folks struggle.
Oh yeah. Um, I agree. I mean, I think I was always meant to, run my own business. I just didn't know it because I always
Hmm.
also wanted to be a doctor too. And I can't imagine it any other way, to be honest with you. But I don't have my MBA. I did not go to business school, and I've had a lot of ups and downs just trying to figure everything out. And that's just how it goes. And I've realized that's just how it goes. If you want to be honest, like nothing is going to be like, straight shoot. But, I guess learning from others and learning from your own
Hmm.
mistakes and just understanding that you will make mistakes because I've definitely made lots of those. And I think I've made more mistakes in business than I have in medicine, thank God, because I'm very safe when it comes to patient care. And I'm very conservative, even though it seems like I'm like working outside of like the realm of like the traditional,
Hmm.
I'm very safe. And I'm very like conscious of it, of what the therapies I'm providing, and if that's going to provide any risks to my patients or any complications. But I think it's just how it goes. Like if you're going to make mistakes and you got to learn from them, and you can't give up because there's been times where I'm like, okay, I'm going to give up now, and what's my backup plan? Um, and
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm sure I'll still have that in the future, but things are, like the more I'm established, the more confident I am with how I'm doing things and how I'm approaching it. But learning from others, attending the conferences, meeting the other providers, seeing what they do. It might not work for what you're doing, but just kind of like putting yourself out there, being vulnerable as well, not thinking that you're perfect from day one. Those are all the things that I think I've learned along the way.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's super uh that's astute. And what are you most excited about for the future, whether it's aesthetics, your own practice in
Um,
general?
I mean, I think in the aesthetics world, more of the regenerative therapies.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely, I'd say. I've been doing a lot of PLLA injections. I love it. It looks so good. Kind of replacing that with filler,
Hmm.
replacing filler with that.
Right.
And then um, for the business side of everything, just expanding the practice. I've expanded in the past before, and then I've had to downsize. But now I think
Hmm.
I'm going to do it in a better way, and working with others. I've been in talks with a few people about expansion within LA. I'm also licensed in Florida, so expanding there as well. So basically, all of that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then last question. You were at the Women's and Aesthetic Leadership Conference in Miami, I believe. Is that right? Back in
Yes, I
23.
was. Yes.
And so we're having that, obviously we're running that back and doing it out at Terranea in LA or outside of LA this year. What was just to give folks who are listening who are thinking about going, what was if you can recall your experience like of the Miami event, and would you recommend it? And what did you think about it?
Oh, the event was beautiful. It was beautiful hotel. Loved
Hmm.
it. It was really laid out really nicely. I liked a lot of the talks that were given.
Good, good.
Connecting with other providers, other female entrepreneurs,
Right.
female nurses, doctors, also just people from AmSpa itself. It was a really nice event. I really, really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Good. Where can folks find you if they want to ask you some questions, learn more about you or your practice?
Instagram, I'm pretty big on Instagram and that I use it a lot. And I use it for marketing. It's Dr. spelled out, so Doctor, Rahi MD. And then my website is Dr. Rahi, again, Dr. spelled out, because every time I say doctor, people are like DR. And I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I know
that's what
I
I would
made
do.
it. I know, I'm sorry. I
That's
complicated it.
that's
So yeah, drrahi.com, or you could come visit me in person in Beverly Hills, take the trip out. Beverly Hills is a beautiful city. So yeah, come visit us in person too.
it's awesome. Well, I'll pop in there next time I'm out there at
Yes.
Dr. Soleil's office because I think I was too intimidated. It was too nice. I was like, I can't do it. Um,
Just come by, come in, come
I
and say
totally
hi.
will. I will. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was fun catching up. And yeah, we'll have to keep in touch and have you back. Your expansion, I think, is going to be cool. Good luck with that. And then,
Thank you.
we'll definitely keep in touch and find out what's next.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Refresh your body, mind, and career at the Women in Aesthetic Leadership Conference being held October 3rd through 5th at California's beautiful Terranea Resort. Walk is more than just another convention. It's an immersive retreat that combines education and networking with rejuvenation. For women aesthetic professionals who dedicated their time to the health and happiness of others, this is an opportunity to get away and focus on your own wellness. Reconnect to your passions and return with a bold new inspiration for your business. Walk celebrates the med spa industry's opportunities for female empowerment and entrepreneurship, including the ceremony for the 2025 Distinguished Women Awards. Find out more at experiencewalk.com. That's experiencewalk.com. And as a Medical Spa Insider listener, you can receive 10% off your registration if you use the promo code WALK10. That's WALC10.
Promo code valid for inclusive registration until September 11, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or standard registration until October 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Promo code only applies to the primary registrant and cannot be combined with any additional offers. Thank you to our producers, Madeline Mahler, Marketing Content Coordinator, who organizes the podcast schedule and guests, provides topics and talking points. And myself, Joe DeGuzman, Technology Operations Manager. I handle the audio and video editing, voiceovers, and tech. Kate Harper, Senior Digital Marketing Coordinator, who makes all of our graphics and manages the podcast platform. Esme Uriastigi, Senior Social Media Coordinator, who makes and posts all the clips for the podcast and posts them to our social feeds. Our music is by Ghost Score. Thank you for listening to or watching the Medical Spa Insider podcast. Please follow or subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future episodes. For more information about the American Med Spa Association, please check our show notes or in the description below.